What if the age of military secrecy is ending? Not because spies got better, not because satellites became a little sharper, but because the battlefield itself is becoming transparent. Today, private satellite companies can deliver sub-meter imagery, revisit critical locations multiple times per day, and, in the case of commercial SAR providers, see through cloud, darkness, fog, and smoke. Maxar offers imagery down to roughly 31 centimeters. Black Sky advertises 35-centimeter Gen 3 imagery with multiple daily revisits. And Capella markets commercial SAR with all-weather, 24/7 collection and resolutions down to around 0.25 to 0.3 meters. That means hiding a tank, a missile launcher, or a logistics buildup is harder than ever. And nowhere is this becoming more obvious than in the Middle East right now. For most of the 20th century, governments controlled the image of war. In 1991, the public saw grainy official photos and carefully released footage. In 2026, Reuters is publishing commercial satellite imagery of destroyed aircraft, damaged facilities, and strike aftermath across Iran and the wider region. That is the paradigm shift. The monopoly on seeing war has collapsed. What used to belong to intelligence agencies now sits in the hands of private firms, journalists, open-source analysts, and anyone with access to commercial data. This is the glass battlefield, and the current Middle East conflict is showing exactly how powerful that change is. Commercial satellite firms have become so operationally relevant that Planet Labs extended delays on releasing Middle East imagery to 14 days, specifically to reduce the risk that adversaries could use those images against the U.S. and allied forces. The Washington Post also reported that commercial providers restricted access to imagery over parts of the Middle East during the conflict. Think about what that means. Private imagery is no longer just media material. It is now considered strategically sensitive enough to restrict during wartime. That alone tells you the battlefield has changed. Now add current regional developments. The U.S.-Israel war with Iran has already expanded far beyond isolated strikes. Reuters reports that the UAE is willing to join an international force to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. After weeks of Iranian attacks and disruptions, Israel has vowed to escalate and expand attacks on Iran, while Iran has struck across the region and the humanitarian and economic effects continue to widen. Reuters also reports that taking Karg Island would carry major military risks because it handles about 90% of Iran's oil exports. In parallel, Reuters and other outlets have shown how satellite imagery is now used almost immediately to validate damage and monitor strategic sites. The implication is simple. Tactical surprise is shrinking. If you move heavy equipment, stage aircraft, or prepare naval assets, there is a growing chance that someone outside government will see it. And it's not just optical imagery. Commercial SAR changes the rules even more. Capella explicitly advertises that its SAR satellites can collect through cloud cover and darkness, while ISIX continues to expand what it describes as the world's largest SAR constellation. That matters because old concealment logic relied on weather and night. Those assumptions are dying. The old idea was, move at night, hide under cloud, camouflage the platform. The new reality is, if you are large, stationary, hot, metallic, or moving in a pattern, you are increasingly detectable. This is why the transparent battlefield is not just about better pictures. It is about a new relationship between visibility and power. On one side, militaries are trying to preserve secrecy through underground facilities, electronic spoofing, and saturation with decoys. On the other side, analysts are using AI-assisted change detection to call out covert operations almost in real time. And there is a second-order effect. The same transparency that can deter deception can also become a weapon of narrative warfare. Wired recently highlighted how manipulated satellite imagery has been used in the current conflict to push false claims. The battlefield is becoming transparent, but truth is not becoming easier. It is becoming more contested. If private companies can see everything, can a superpower still hide a looming operation? The answer is less than before, less for less time, and with much higher risk of exposure. It means secrecy becomes more expensive, more fragile, and more dependent on deception rather than concealment. The future of warfare may not belong to the side that hides best. It may belong to the side that floods the battle space with enough signals. The Middle East is proving that the invisible army is disappearing. What replaces it is a battlefield where everyone can see more, faster, from more angles than ever before. And in that world, the real contest is no longer just over movement, it is over interpretation. This has been a Trescudo intelligence briefing. Stay focused on the signal.